actual. Be advised, target...
Unidentified aircraft, respond immediately. Control, this is Ahmad Moradi Talebi. Talebi, identify your intentions. I am not here to attack. Then why are you here? Because today, I am not your enemy.
2 minutes past 2 in the afternoon, September 2nd, 1986. Tactical Fighter Base 8, Esfahan, Iran. Captain Ahmad Moradi Talebi is sitting in the cockpit of an F-14A Tomcat. The canopy is down, the engines are alive. The air smells of hot tarmac and jet exhaust. His radar intercept officer, Lieutenant Hassan Najafi, sits directly behind him in the tandem seat, loyal to the revolution, loyal to the regime, and carrying no idea whatsoever about what his pilot is about to do. Moradi's hands are steady on the controls. His mission orders are simple. Fly north toward Kari Island, protect the oil tankers moving crude through the Persian Gulf, and return to base. 2 hours. Routine. Just another afternoon patrol in a war that has been bleeding Iran and Iraq dry for 6 years straight. He knows exactly what he is about to do. He does not turn north. He turns west. The Tomcat climbs. Fuel tanks full. He had topped them off from a tanker at altitude, a detail that his handlers at the Iraqi Air Force Intelligence Service had specifically requested he do. The route is memorized. Approach the Iraqi border via Khurramabad. Descend to a specific altitude. Fly at a specific airspeed. Follow the exact corridor that the Iraqis had assigned him so their own air defense network, the Soviet-built Kari system, would recognize the signal pattern and stand down their interceptors. He had rehearsed this in his mind 100 times. But here is what his Iraqi handlers do not know. Moradi is flying a day early. His defection was planned for September 3rd. The Iraqis were not expecting him today. The officer at the Air Defense Operations Center in Baghdad assigned to receive his arrival, a man named Ahmad Sadiq, is not watching the screen. Not yet. Nobody is positioned to send the stand-down order. Nobody is watching the track of an Iranian F-14 crossing the Iraqi border in the wrong direction, at the wrong time, 1 day too early. 40 minutes from now, Captain Ahmad Moradi Talebi will be shot out of the sky by the very Air Force he is flying toward. And that is only the beginning of the most extraordinary aviation story of the entire Iran-Iraq war. Understand what Ahmad Moradi is risking. You have to understand the machine he is flying and the world that put him inside it. The F-14A Tomcat is the most powerful carrier-based interceptor ever built. Grumman designed it for one purpose: to reach out beyond the horizon and kill enemy aircraft before they ever came close enough to fire. Its AWG-9 pulse Doppler radar can track 24 targets simultaneously and engage 6 of them at once. Its primary weapon, the AIM-54 Phoenix missile, can strike a target 60 miles away. In 1986, not a single air force on Earth has a reliable answer for it. Iran bought these aircraft from the United States in 1974 under a deal personally brokered by Shah Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, a man who learned to fly in 1946 on a British Tiger Moth and who loved aircraft the way other men loved horses. The deal, known internally as Project Persian King, was worth $2 billion, 80 Tomcats, 714 AIM-54 Phoenix missiles, training contracts, spare parts, the entire infrastructure of a first-rate fighter wing, including the construction of a dedicated base at Khatami near Esfahan. The first aircraft arrived in January 1976. Iran became the only country in the world besides the United States Navy to fly the F-14. 3 years later, the Shah is gone. January 16, 1979. The revolution reaches critical mass. The Shah boards a plane and does not come back. 27 of Iran's F-14 pilots, men who trained alongside American naval aviators, men who know the aircraft from memory, men who speak English and have seen California and understand exactly what they will be returning to, are already out of the country. They do not return. American technicians from Hughes, the company that built the Phoenix missile system, make one final act on their way out of Iran. They sabotage 16 of the missiles, stripping out critical components to prevent them from being used. The Islamic Republic of Iran inherits 79 Tomcats and roughly 400 trained personnel who did not escape in time. What follows is an improvisation that military historians would study for decades. With American spare parts embargoed, with no access to Grumman's technical support, with trained pilots purged, imprisoned, or executed by a revolution that views their American training as ideological contamination, Iran's Air Force does something remarkable. It keeps flying. Technicians reverse engineer replacement parts. Pilots who spent 18 months grounded by post-revolutionary chaos return to their cockpits. By the time Iraq invades on September 22, 1980, the F-14 fleet is incomplete, undersupplied, and held together with ingenuity and stubbornness, and it is still the most feared aircraft in the Persian Gulf. The Iraqis learned this quickly. By 1984, the Iraqi Air Force has lost enough aircraft to Iranian F-14 crews that Baghdad's military intelligence service begins an entirely different kind of operation. Not aerial, not tactical. They start making phone calls, routed through Turkey, addressed to targeted pilots in English, patient, persistent, offering the one thing the Islamic Republic cannot offer: a way out. Ahmad Moradi Talebi is a major in the Islamic Republic of Iran Air Force. He is 36 years old. He trained in the United States. His wife is also an officer in the Air Force. They have 2 children, aged 7 and 8. He was, by every account of those who flew with him, a gifted pilot. And in the years after the revolution, he makes a calculation that costs him everything. He supports the revolution at first. A lot of pilots do. The Shah's government had its own brutalities, its own corruptions. The promise of something better is not absurd in 1979. But 2 years in, Moradi has seen enough. The revolution will not bring democracy. It brings war instead. A grinding, chemical weapons-soaked catastrophe in the marshes of the Shatt al-Arab that is consuming an entire generation of Iranian men. By 1984, Moradi wants out. He applies to leave the Air Force. The regulations say no. Officers are not permitted to resign during wartime. He is property of the Islamic Republic for the duration. When the Iraqi telephone calls begin finding their way through Turkey to pilots in the IRIAF, Moradi is among those who listens. The contact is made carefully, incrementally, over months. The Iraqis have been running this operation since 1982, and they have already achieved one success. In August 1984, Major Rahman Ganat Pishni defected from Tactical Fighter Base 6 at Bushehr in an F-4E Phantom, landing at Ali ibn Abu Talib Air Base. The Phantom was inspected, photographed, analyzed, and then destroyed by American bombs in January 1991 when it was still sitting in a hangar, never test-flown. Not quite the intelligence windfall Baghdad had hoped for, but it was enough to prove the operation could work. The Iraqis kept calling. By spring 1986, they have established working contact with Captain Ahmad Moradi Talebi, based at Tactical Fighter Base 8 in Esfahan. He is flying one of the most advanced aircraft ever built. He is miserable. He is trapped. And now, someone is offering him a door. The arrangement requires cover. In the spring of 1986, Moradi requests permission for a family vacation abroad. The Islamic Republic's internal security apparatus, the counterintelligence services that monitor pilots the way the old VAVAK monitored dissidents, approves the request. He travels to Germany with his wife. When he returns, she does not come back with him. It is a stunning piece of intelligence tradecraft, visible to anyone with eyes. A pilot's wife remains abroad. He returns alone and continues flying missions. The counterintelligence officers either miss it or decide it does not constitute enough evidence to ground him. He is back in his cockpit within weeks. He is now committed to the plan. His wife is already positioned in Europe. His children are waiting. The defection date is set, September 3rd, 1986. The route is prescribed. The flight profile is memorized. The Iraqi Air Defense Operations Center has been briefed to expect him. All that remains is the day. Esfahan, September 2nd, 2 p.m. The afternoon patrol schedule rotates 2 F-14s north from Esfahan toward the oil shipping lanes near Kari Island every afternoon around 3:30. It is a predictable pattern, which is itself a problem, but a problem for another day. Today, the significance of that patrol is different. Moradi is assigned to fly it. So is Najafi, his RIO, a man who has been given no choice in what is about to happen to him. Two other Tomcats are preparing on the flight line. Both abort prior to takeoff. Mechanical failures. The kind of routine attrition that has been eating at Iran's F-14 fleet for 6 years. Moradi takes off alone in the third aircraft, armed with AIM-7 Sparrow and AIM-9 Sidewinder missiles. Not a Phoenix in sight. The Phoenix missiles, Iran's most feared weapon, have been grounded since 1986. The thermal batteries in the aging AIM-54s finally exhausted without American replacements. He climbs out of Esfahan and finds his tanker. He tops off his fuel. And then he does not turn north. He turns west. The track appears on the Kari air defense network's screens. An Iranian aircraft moving west from Esfahan, crossing toward Khurramabad, curving southwest toward Al-Qut. Deep inside the Iraqi Air Defense Operations Center, the duty officer sees the track. He does not recognize it as a defector. He sees an Iranian F-14 entering Iraqi airspace without authorization, without identification, from the direction of an enemy airbase. He does what Iraqi air defense doctrine demands. He scrambles interceptors. A pair of MiG-23 MLs from number 63 Squadron lifts off from Al-Bakr Air Base. The Kari system calculates the intercept point precisely, the town of Numanya, well inside Iraqi territory. 2 MiGs versus 1 Tomcat. Perfectly routine. Ahmad Sadiq, the intelligence officer specifically assigned to receive Moradi's defection, is present at the center. He is not watching the screen at this moment. He does not yet know what is happening. Later, he will reconstruct the sequence of events and describe what he sees when he finally looks up. An Iranian track crossing into Iraq. 2 of his own aircraft closing to intercept, and then, only then, the terrible recognition of what is unfolding. The 2 MiG-23 MLs close to within 15 kilometers of the Tomcat. Moradi's aircraft is well inside Iraqi airspace. He is flying the correct heading, the correct altitude, the correct airspeed. He has done everything right. He is 30 seconds from safety. The lead MiG's radar malfunctions completely. The lead pilot radios his wingman, a young lieutenant whose name history has not preserved, and tells him to take the shot. The lieutenant acquires a radar lock. He fires a single R-24T heat-seeking missile. The R-24T detonates below the Tomcat's fuselage. Fire erupts. The aircraft is dying. Moradi and Najafi eject into the Iraqi sky, their parachutes opening above the farmland near Numanya. They hit the ground hard and alive. The F-14A Tomcat, one of the most technologically advanced aircraft ever built, a machine that Baghdad had spent 4 years trying to acquire, explodes on impact into the Iraqi soil. By the time Ahmad Sadiq reaches the crash site the following morning, there is almost nothing left. The front section of the aircraft, where the AWG-9 radar and cockpit avionics lived, has been completely destroyed by fire. Both engines are present, but old, of no intelligence value. The only recognizable component is the M61A1 Vulcan cannon, badly twisted and burned. Some airframe parts bear US military serial numbers. Others are of completely unidentifiable origin, the result of years of Iranian improvisation with domestic replacement parts. Iraq had just shot down the exact aircraft it had spent years trying to steal intact. Sadiq's words, recorded years later, carry the weight of a man who has replayed that afternoon 1,000 times. There is not a single piece of the radar or cockpit to recover. The opportunity evaporates into scorched metal and Iraqi farmland. Moradi and Najafi are captured separately. Both men are taken to Baghdad for interrogation. The RIO, Hassan Najafi, had not chosen this mission. He had not been recruited. He had not been consulted. He ejects into Iraqi custody with no plan, no contact at Baghdad intelligence, and a profound and legitimate grievance. His pilot has defected with him in the back seat. Najafi makes his position clear to his captors. He was not a defector. He is a prisoner of war. He wants to go home. Eventually, the Iraqis return him to Iran. Moradi is different. He had planned this. He sits with Iraqi intelligence officers and provides what information he can. He has brought a flight manual with him, tucked inside the cockpit on the theory that even if the aircraft were lost, the documentation might still be valuable. The Iraqis study the manual carefully and arrive at a disheartening conclusion. Nearly everything in it is already known. The years of telephone contact with Iranian pilots, the defection of Pishni in the F-4, The analysis of wreckage from F-14s shot down in combat. Iraq's technical intelligence on the Tomcat is already substantial. The flight manual adds almost nothing. There is one more irony in this chain of ironies. Just 2 days before Moradi's flight, on August 31st, 1986, a different Iranian F-14A had successfully defected to Iraq with at least one AIM-54A Phoenix missile aboard. That aircraft landed intact. The crew survived. The missile was intact. Iraq got exactly what it wanted from the first defection, before Moradi even took off. His sacrifice, the years of contact, the separation from his wife, the risks of counterintelligence detection, the defection itself, produces nothing that the one before him had not already delivered. Moradi sits with Iraqi intelligence and answers their questions. By the time the interrogation concludes, he is allowed to travel to Europe. In January 1987, he arrives in Geneva. He reunites with his wife. She is pregnant with their third child. He applies for political asylum. He tells the Swiss authorities that he has received threats. He is afraid. He requests protection. The Geneva police take note of the threats. They do not act on them. August 10th, 1987, 9 o'clock in the evening, Geneva, Switzerland. Ahmad Moradi Talebi and his pregnant wife are walking back to their room at the Hotel Edelweiss on Philippe Plantamour Street in the Paquis district. It is a warm evening. The lake is nearby. The streets are quiet in the way that Geneva streets are always quiet. Orderly, unhurried, indifferent. 2 men are waiting. One steps toward his wife and pushes her aside. The other raises a German Walther PPK pistol fitted with a silencer and fires 6 shots from close range. 3 shots in the head, 2 in the chest. Ahmad Moradi Talebi falls dead on a Geneva street in front of his pregnant wife. The assassins run. They leave behind a light blue baseball cap. Later analysis links the killing to VAVAK, the Ministry of Intelligence and Security of the Islamic Republic of Iran. The Abdurrahman Buruman Center for Human Rights, which has documented 862 extrajudicial executions carried out by the Islamic Republic, lists Moradi among its dead. He is one of 452 killed outside Iran's borders, a number that represents only the cases documented, not the total. His third child is born after his death. The story of Ahmad Moradi Talebi does not end in Geneva. Its echoes reach further than his killers intended. The Islamic Republic tracks down pilots the way some governments track down spies. In the year before Moradi's death, a former chief pilot named Ali Akbar Mohammadi, who had worked for President Rafsanjani and defected to Germany, was shot dead in Hamburg shortly after his arrival. A month after Moradi, another Iranian pilot named Mohammad Hassan Mansouri was killed in Istanbul in circumstances that led Swiss ballistics experts to conclude the same weapon was used in multiple assassinations. The pattern is not coincidental. It is policy. The regime's message to anyone still flying its F-14s, anyone still sitting on intelligence that could be sold, anyone still thinking about that door, there is no door. There is no distance far enough. There is no neutral country safe enough. Europe is not safe. Geneva, with its diplomatic immunity and its United Nations offices, and its tradition of asylum, is not safe. The F-14s themselves keep flying. In 1986, when Moradi ejects, Iran has roughly 25 operational Tomcats remaining from the original 79. By the end of the war in August 1988, the number is lower still. By the 1990s, approximately 15 are fully functional. Iran's technicians make close to 300 separate modifications to the surviving airframes, replacing American components with domestic equivalents, adapting Soviet R-27 missiles that ultimately prove incompatible, eventually developing an entirely domestic weapon called the Fakor 90, essentially a Phoenix missile built from Iranian hands using the guidance system of a captured American Hawk surface-to-air missile. The United States retires its own F-14 fleet in 2006. One reason, documented in official communications and confirmed by former Navy officials, is the fear of classified components falling into Iranian hands. The same aircraft, the same program, the same irony that has followed the Tomcat since the day it first landed in Esfahan in January 1976. In 2024, Israeli airstrikes on Iran destroyed at least 2 F-14 airframes on the ground. Whether they were operational or spare hulks remains contested. What is not contested is that somewhere in the hangars of what remains of the Islamic Republic of Iran Air Force, a few surviving Tomcats still exist. Their exact avionics configuration, what is American, what is Soviet, what is Iranian, remains one of the more durable open questions of military intelligence. Major Jalil Zandi, the F-14 pilot who became the most successful Tomcat ace in history, 8 confirmed kills, 11 total, including 4 MiG-23s, 2 Su-22s, 2 MiG-21s, and 3 Mirage F-1s, died in a car accident near Tehran in 2001, along with his wife. He was 50 years old. He never left Iran. He never defected. He never gave anyone a reason to follow him to Geneva. Whether that constitutes safety or surrender depends on what you believe a man owes the country that made him. Ahmad Moradi Talebi believed he owed it nothing more. He trained in the United States. He flew the most extraordinary aircraft of his generation. He watched a revolution consume the country he grew up in and turned the Air Force he loved into a political instrument of a regime he despised. He separated from his wife for months. He rehearsed a flight path in his mind until it was instinct. He strapped himself into 60,000 pounds of American engineering and flew west into a war zone on a Tuesday afternoon, trusting that the enemy he was flying toward would be expecting him. They were not. The missile detonated below his aircraft at 3:47 in the afternoon over the farmland near Numanya. He ejected. He survived. He crossed the border alive, if not intact, made it to Geneva, held his wife's hand on an evening walk, and was murdered in the street 11 months later by the government he had escaped. His third child would never know him. The blue baseball cap the killers left behind was recovered by Swiss police. It has never been explained. It may have been a calling card, a signature, a deliberate message to anyone watching. We were here. We found him. Distance means nothing. The Iran-Iraq War ended in August 1988, after 8 years, perhaps 1 million dead, and no meaningful change in the border that Saddam Hussein had gone to war to redraw. The F-14s outlasted the war. They outlasted the Soviet Union. They outlasted Saddam. They outlasted the American program that built them. And somewhere in Iran, in a hangar that no Western inspector has ever entered, under a sky that no American satellite has fully mapped, a few of them may still be flying. The aircraft built to defend one Iran is still being flown by the Iran that replaced it. That is the Tomcat's final irony. And somehow, it is also its most fitting epitaph.